fantastic. If I do say so myself. I just realised, that's really good. What great work. Yeah, I did it myself. All right, on to tonight's rant. Because Netflix has announced its sixth price rise since launching in Australia in March 2015. From September, the premium plan jumps $3 to a whopping $28.99 per month. That's almost double the $14.99 a month we were charged when Netflix first launched. The standard plan with ads will increase by $2 to $9.99 a month, and the ad-free standard plan raises $2 to $20.99. I don't mean to be I told you so, but I told you so. McKnight was right. We have a problem here. So Netflix was the darling of Wall Street when it was basically getting lots of subscribers through the door. And then all of a sudden Wall Street went, no, we don't care about your subscriber numbers. We care about your profits. And Netflix stock actually started diving. Netflix then turned around and said, all right, you want profits? We'll give you profits. They increased everything. They added the ad tier. And on that, here is the kicker. Business Insider reports Netflix ad-supported plans earns more revenue per user than the ad-free tier. And analysts believe the company is deliberately steering customers towards it. I've got a headline there, Amanda, just to prove it. See that? Does the future for Netflix's growth and all streaming lie in advertising? And the simple answer is yes. They don't make as much money from you being on that $28.99 tier that it will become, as opposed to you being on the cheaper tier and watching ads. It's a double dip. Remember when Foxtel first came out and we went, okay, we pay for a subscription service. And then they started putting ads in, and it's like, why am I getting ads for something I pay for? What is the benefit? And the streaming services sold us a pup. They all said, they basically made us believe, pay for streaming, no ads, you can binge all the shows, vast library. And it was a magical time. Remember? A magical time. Hasn't all that changed? The streamers all criticised broadcast television. And now they are stealing all the elements of broadcast television. They've added ads. They're chasing sport in a big way. And I cannot say this enough. And anyone who's listened to me on John Stanley, 2GB and 4BC and watched me on Inside Media when I was doing that for 7, and possibly I've said it on Media McKnight, here is what will happen with sporting streaming rights. The Albanese government has not protected the digital rights on the anti-siphoning list. The anti-siphoning list is the list of sports that must be broadcast on free-to-air TV. Now, the networks went to Anthony Albanese and the Labor government and said, the world is changing. We need you to include digital rights, not just the linear free-to-air rights. So what that means is the networks currently have it for the aerial you plug in, but if you watch it on 7 Plus, 9 Now, 10 Play, the rights aren't protected there. But the Albanese government said, we're not doing that. It was part of a bigger play with taking something from News Corp but giving them this, because obviously News Corp at the time owned Foxtel. Foxtel wanted sporting rights. And so we are left with a situation where I might be able to watch the NRL on my TV, but if you don't have the aerial anymore, and we know that about at least 30% of Australians don't have an aerial, but 60-something% of Australians watch TV through the apps of the networks. So I'll be able to watch the NRL, but it's possible that if you're only watching through 9 Now, you won't be able to, because what can happen and is likely to happen, these streamers with big money are going to come in, buy the sporting rights, and then on-sell the free-to-air rights to whoever wants them. And I've spoken with executives at the networks who say, if we can only get the linear rights, the digital rights are worthless because it's a two-part system. 7 just released their financial results this week, and their biggest growth was in 7 Plus. As TV revenue comes down, the the sales and the revenue from 7 Plus are going up. They have changed their digital strategy. They have put more time and investment into growing the revenue there, and it's working. So if 7 can get the AFL, but they can't for their linear stream, but they can't get the digital rights, there is no point them having AFL. So then the AFL, a couple of games might go to the ABC or SBS, or a case is made where the streamers say, well, we can't give these away. 7 won't take them. You can take AFL off the anti-siphoning list. Mark my words. In 5 to 10 years, but closer to 5, you are going to be paying to watch sport. These streamers just want to take and take and take from us. And where do their profits go? Not here in Australia. They pay less tax than you and I do. Then average workers in Australia, they pay less tax because all their profits go overseas. And do you know how they do it? All right, you've got Netflix, right? So, or actually, let's not use real companies. Let's just say Rob's streaming service, right? So, I'm a big international company. I've got Rob's streaming service. Now, what I do is Ireland has great tax incentives for businesses. So I set up a company in Ireland. Now, this company is going to be the distribution company. So anything that Rob's streaming service produces is on-sold through the Ireland company, which might be called Rob Streaming Service Distribution Limited, Party Limited or whatever, right? So then when Rob Streaming Service Australia gets those rights, it's not just handed to them. I have to buy, that stream Australian arm has to buy them from the Irish distribution, which means that I'll essentially pay close to 90% of the value of the revenue that I'm earning to offset the tax implications in Australia. So I can write that off as a tax deduction. If I might be drawing $10 million from Australia, but I'm paying $9.5 million in distribution costs to my own company, albeit a different part of the company with a different name and, structure. But essentially, I'm paying my own company over the odds to get that product to reduce my tax in Australia. I love the big streaming companies. I love having all that here, but we're being taken for a ride. And as they try to get Wall Street to think they're the darlings, this cycle of paying for it is going to keep rising, and they're going to keep double dipping. I'm just over it. I'm over being taken for a ride. How do I make money? What about me? And that's Rob's rant.
Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose.